Figure 4 Radio.
Lock it in.
Lock it in.
Lock it in. Lock it in.
Lock it in.
Figure 4 Radio.
Hello everyone, welcome to Figure 4 Radio. It's the Mastermind Ollie Spring today, joined by the Antisocial Ash Draven. How you doing, buddy?
Not too bad, thank you. I'm going to hopefully be a bit sociable on this one.
This is going to be, I've just realised actually, you had a
very
podcast
quiet.
with an antisocial guy. I just asked you a question and get nothing.
Yeah.
How you doing, man?
Yeah,
Good.
not too bad.
How's 2017 been for you?
It's been a really good year. I've been lots of different places.
Yeah.
You know, I'd say it's probably been my breakout year in terms of
I
wrestling.
would agree.
So yeah, hopefully 2018 carries on in the same
Fingers
sort of
crossed, fingers crossed. I'm going to kick it off the way I do with almost everything. How did you discover wrestling from day one where you hadn't seen it to all of a sudden I'm aware of these guys inside this ring and they're doing moves and stuff?
I think I was first aware of it when I was a child. I think the earliest memory I have was I couldn't sleep one night and I come downstairs and I put the TV on and I had cable at home at the time. It was probably about, I don't know how old I was, 5 maybe. And I remember seeing a clip of Warrior versus Hogan from WrestleMania 6. It wasn't live, but it was a sort of flashback.
Yeah.
And I remember watching that and kind of enthralled by the colour and the sort of characters and just these superhero looking guys. And that was where I first, was aware of it. And then kind of didn't watch wrestling until probably I was around 10 or 11. And at that point it was 97, 98. So wrestling was starting to heat up and the Attitude Era had just started and it was everywhere. It was mainstream. It was all your friends were talking about it at school and stuff. So then I'd be religiously watching it every Friday night when it was taped for Sky Sports. And then before that you had WCW Worldwide on Channel 5.
Yeah, that's one of the first things I watched.
I remember watching that and then waiting for Raw. So then that was it, and then I didn't actually get into wrestling until 2007.
Okay. And so how did you make the leap from watching it as a fan to actually performing as a wrestler?
Well, I've got a family friend who came round one day and she said, "Oh, I've been round so and so's house, and he's got a wrestling ring in his garden." Okay.
Do I know who this somebody is?
You do know who this person is, yeah. He's
he gets name dropped quite a lot these days.
Yeah, he's quite big in Japan now. But yeah, he had a wrestling ring in his garden, and I messaged him on, I think it was like Pixo or something rubbish like that.
Pre-Facebook.
When Pixo was a thing. Yeah, Facebook. I think Facebook was around, but it wasn't. It was like MySpace, Pixo, Bebo, and various other things. And I messaged him on there saying, "Look, I know you've got a ring in the garden, and just wanting to know if you need any help, like setting up, doing reffing or whatever." I wasn't looking to do wrestling because.
So at that point, had you ever actually taken a bump or learned how to do a move or?
No, only time I did anything was when you'd muck around with your friends at school. But yeah, I wasn't really looking to be a wrestler because this guy was 7 years younger than me, so he was still at school, he was still a kid, and I was about 20. So it was like just wanted to help him out because I knew him from when he was a kid anyway. And he said, "Oh, you should come down and try it." So then I got in the ring, showed me how to bump because he was training at the local wrestling school at the time. Really enjoyed it. Had a match in front of no one. I think that we just had a camera on a bench or something propped up filming it. And that was my first match, and I beat that guy as well. Obviously, he's doing big great things, but I did beat him in my first ever match.
Wow! Was that literally just a messing around match, or was that?
Yeah, it was a mess around match. It was filmed, and there was a video of it.
Please tell me it's on YouTube.
The highlight video is on YouTube, and I'll show you that at a later date.
Amazing.
But yeah, it's not hard to find because I've used the same name the whole time. So.
Yeah. So Ash Draven is not your. So where does the name come from? Is there a background to it? Or?
So yeah, there is. I mean, obviously my first name is Ash. But the Draven part, I was scrambling around for names at this before I went round to this guy's house to do the show. I'm not going to name drop him because people probably know who it is anyway. Yeah. And he probably won't appreciate the name drop. So yeah, I was scrambling around for names. I had a piece of paper. I was writing different things down, things that would fit, and my last name is Deering in real life. So I quite like the AD initials. So I was racking my brains, and then I remembered a character from one of my favourite films, The Crow. was Eric Draven.
Yeah.
So I kind of took that and made it Ash Draven, not knowing that Ash Draven's probably one of the most common names in wrestling ever.
Is it?
Yeah, I've been told a few times when I wrestled a guy called what's his name, Brian Idol, who's from the US. He said there's loads of guys in the US called that. I actually bumped into a guy a year or so later who used to wrestle as Ash Draven years before, and but it kind of stuck, and I've never found the need to change it, which is why I still use it now. So
it's fair enough. How did you get started with the antisocial gimmick? Because one reason I think you're so over with a lot of crowds is the fact that you've got the in-ring stuff sorted, but your character, there is a very kind of solid kind of breakdown of who the antisocial one is and what he's all about. You can kind of clearly tell what Ash Draven is about in the ring. Is that something you've kind of put the time into to building, or is it just kind of fluke that you just come out and it all kind of clicks?
The original idea was actually, I was at DOA and I think it was Clive who was ring announcing that day, and he just asked me, do you have any nicknames? And I kind of just out of the air said Antisocial.
Yeah.
Just call me Antisocial Ash Draven. So that kind of happened, and the original character for that show I came out was he didn't like people, so he didn't like people interacting with him, so he was like trying to shut down that almost. And then I remember the first time I used it, I kind of got a little bit of reaction from the crowd when I started playing up on a comment that one of them made, something like, why don't you go back to your bedroom and listen to My Chemical Romance, something like that.
I like My Chemical Romance.
Throughout the rest of the match I was saying things like that was almost as awesome as Black Parade, and I was making all these references to My Chemical Romance, and the crowd kind of reacted to that, and then I kind of just built on that. And ironically, I already had at that point the coat and the cane, but I didn't use them for about 6 months after I bought them, because it was kind of like I was wrestling at Kapow, I think it was, and I was wrestling in a triple threat with Chuck Cyrus and Kelly Six, and I was like, I've got this idea, and I'll come out in a big coat and a cane, and in the end I backed out. I chickened out and didn't use it, and so I just came out in like a vest, like a torn vest thing. And then about 6 months later, when I wrestled Ashley Dunn for the first time at DOA, I decided to go for it. Wore the coat, wore the waistcoat, had the stick, and it really got a good reaction because it was different to everyone else. Obviously, you've got some good characters on here. You've got Damien and you've got Amara, but you didn't have that. They're both quite dark characters, whereas the Draven character, I didn't intend for it to be a dark character. It's almost like a holier than thou kind of character. I see the faults in society that other people don't see. So that's where I went with that. And leading into that match, I remember my wife her friend won tickets to go and watch the Paralympics in Rio, and my wife got invited to go, so she was away for a few days at that, and I was waiting in for like a fridge freezer to be delivered. So I had this cupboard.
So Mrs. is strong enough in Brazil and you're waiting for a fridge freezer to
this is life. But I was waiting for this fridge freezer to be delivered, and it was going to go in this cupboard that I had. It was probably half the size of this room. Not that people can see what this room looks like, but it was only probably 5 foot by 5 foot. And I cleared it all out, and it was just this empty room with pipes and stuff in the background. I was like, that'd be quite cool backdrop for a promo. Got nothing to do. The wife's not there to judge me, so so I turned the light off, and I sat in this cupboard for about 2 hours.
Wow.
On my own, with the light of my phone and a video camera.
Jeez.
And I started cutting promos. And in that promo was where I first said happy place. Yeah. And I referred to the cupboard as my happy place, sort of my sanctuary away from the outside world. And so I came out for the match because that was to build up the Ashley Dunn match, and it also had reference to Peter Nixon as well. And I come out for the match, and I got announced as from his happy place, and that's kind of where it kind of stuck from there. So once that I kind of fell into that, then there was the investment in the idea, what's this guy going to be like? How's he going to see things in the world? As I say, I didn't intend for him to be particularly dark or satanic or anything like that. It's just that he sees the world differently to everyone else.
I guess if you got like Damien and Mara, quite kind of supernatural dark heroes. Yours is more of a lot more real, I guess. Like someone that genuinely just doesn't like people, and I can relate to that.
And I
can definitely relate to that.
That's the thing. I think a lot of wrestling fans can relate to that, because for a long time, being a wrestling fan was counterculture. It wasn't the norm.
That's it. Yeah.
So people kind of grasped onto that, and it's become more popular than I intended it to be. I always intended for it to be received as a heel.
Yeah, I don't think I think there's only one place I haven't seen you cheered when you come out. Like everywhere I see you, because you're one of the guys actually that so kind of this year's been my breakout year as well as a commentator, and there's a handful of guys that almost everybody I only commentate on them in their promotion. You're one of the guys that kind of transcend it. I think you've actually ended up being in 3 of the 5 promotions that I commentate for, so I've seen you perform a lot more than a lot of other guys this year. So almost everywhere you go, you seem to get cheered, despite he's clearly. I mean, is that like a smart, marky kind of indie fan thing to do, or is it just what's your take on why you get so many cheers?
I don't think it is, because I don't in ring. I try not to do anything too flashy, anything too fancy, because my aim is not to get the crowd to cheer for me. I'd like to get the opposite. But I think people appreciate the thought and the sort of effort into the character. I think they can relate to the character in a certain way, and that's why I get cheered, not because I do all the tricks and flips and all these different things. I think the only place where I've not been received as kind of either a tweener or like a badass babyface kind of gimmick is probably at Wrestling League. But part of that was because I was wrestling the hometown guy, Harry Nance. So it's kind of
that's the one place I didn't see you get immediately cheered.
Yes,
but I think that's because, like I say, you were up against Wrestling League is such a, I want to say weird, but not in a bad way. Like, their local guys, they're so over with, like, because they bring all their friends and all their family. I've never seen local support like it at a show like that. It's absolutely insane.
I would compare Wrestling League, obviously not in scale and grandeur, but to World Class in Texas years ago, because obviously that was built around the Bon Erics, and they were the ultimate babyface. And similarly with Harry and with Dexter and those kind of guys, you have that same sort of allegiance and that same sort of loyalty from the local fans to them. So anyone that goes against them is going to get treated as a heel, whether you intend to
regardless,
or not. But again, my character kind of lends itself to that anyway.
Kind of plays perfect. No, that's cool. So as far as matches you've had this year and the year you've had, because you're a guy I was very aware of in kind of 2016, and then I think I kind of met you here at DOA, and I saw you kind of tripped up to Sacrifice and then Wrestling League as well. As far as your kind of 2017, what are your standout moments been for you personally? Like, what kind of stands out as your personal highlights?
I think the couple of matches I had with Chuck Cyrus, I've had 3. The 2 in particular that stand out to me is the RCWA one, where I beat him for the title, and then I retained a week later the SWA title against him. Both of those stand out because they were like brawl, like they were like 30 minutes of just pure sort of beating the hell out of each other. He got his teeth knocked out and various things. That was another story to go. 18 stone guy dived over the top rope completely over the top of me and into the 3rd row.
Wow.
So, but yeah, those 2 stand out. I think the RCWA 10-year show was a big deal a couple of weeks ago. Winning the SWA title, there's various things.
You had a lot of kind of highlights, I guess.
Yeah, a lot of highlights. I've wrestled some great people, some relatively big names.
Anyone like? Who's been your favourite person that you kind of got in the ring with this year, or anyone that stands out to you as kind of like anything that's like a special match that you kind of look back on and be like, man, that was cool?
Again, Chuck Cyrus is probably, other than the guy I mentioned earlier, he's probably my favourite opponent ever. I love wrestling Ashley Dunn. I've wrestled him a few times this year. Taken his Flip Destroyer probably more than most. So they're cool. I loved working with Joey Osborne at SWA. Because he put me over, even though he didn't really need to. Like, he could have been selfish and had the title for himself, but he was one of the guys that championed me to be the champion up there. So that was really nice and really cool of him. yeah, I've had a great year. Wrestled some great people. I did a show for Rev Pro, so that's like quite a big deal. And yeah, so we'll see where that goes.
So coming into DOA this year, so it was my pardon me, my kind of breakout year for me as they getting around the place. So you come into DOA, you were my first DOA show. You were the Adrenaline champ and the heavyweight champ. So you basically, for all most intents and purposes, you were carrying DOA on your shoulders, as you've said on a few promos as well. What's it been like for you to kind of have so much, I want to say responsibility almost for a company, but as in being invested in, but from Alex so much, like how was that for you, kind of spending almost pretty much the majority of 2017 as their champion?
It was great. Obviously, I owe Alec a lot because he was the first one to kind of book me outside of RCWA. So that was I think November 2015, on December 2015. In Yarmouth. So he was the first one to sort of identify that I might have something. As I say, outside RCWA. So that was really nice of him. When he gave me, obviously, the original plan for the Adrenaline belt was I attacked Peter Nixon, ironically, and physically stole the belt from him, which was meant to lead to a payoff match. He then got injured at another show, broke his arm quite badly, so that match didn't happen. So I was awarded the title. And then, obviously, I did well with that, and I won the Go for Glory briefcase and ended up cashing in for the heavyweight title.
Was that on Doug Williams?
It was on Doug, yeah. It was... right where we are now, the Gainsborough Labour Club in Ipswich. So yeah, I ended up cashing in on Doug, which was really surreal. Yeah. And it was really strange because my music's got quite a long intro on it, and because Damien had just lost the title to Doug, and there was a beatdown afterwards, and that took so long to happen. By the time I came out to do the cash-in, Doug was already kind of getting up. Yeah. So then I had to just quickly improvise and DDT him and pin him. So that could have gone horribly wrong. But luckily Doug kind of... I managed to get the word to Doug that I'm going to DDT you, and he said go for it, and then that's how we went into that. But yeah, in terms of how it's been in, like, not carrying, that's the wrong word, but sort of being responsible or having that sort of expectation on me, I think that's helped me thrive, because I think having the titles and having the sort of the status within the company that I've now got, it only helped the character get it gave the character more fuel for the fire to sort of cut these promos and to sort of believe his own hype, if you like. So that really helped, and that helped me with my confidence, because those that know me away from wrestling is I'm not the most confident person, and the antisocial thing kind of comes from the fact that I don't necessarily interact with people that I don't know. I kind of keep myself to myself, and my close friends, and that's kind of it. So
I'm definitely on board of that train.
So and I often before big shows get a little bit nervous, a bit, not stage fright, but kind of not too sure, worry about how it's going to go. I think being put in a position where you're respected and you're kind of the guy, that kind of helped with my nerves a little bit as well.
That's good to hear. I can definitely familiarise with that, because I'm kind of very the same. I've got a close knit group of friends, and then anybody outside of that is it's kind of tricky for me to build those bridges. But I think that's one thing I love about DOA is everyone's so cool with each other, and it's almost like a small family. And this is like the small knit community that you have, and I can definitely understand why you would thrive, I guess.
I think with DOA environment, because Alec tries to run so many shows a year. I think he's got like 14 dates for next year.
It's crazy.
You see these people almost every couple of weeks, it's kind of, it's very easy for you then to become friends with them, and they become part of your close friends. And it's quite funny, my wife was talking to me the other day about she mentioned at work about that I don't have a lot of friends where I live, because all my friends are wrestling related,
dotted around in the various towns.
So you've got Rob Sharp lives in Birmingham, and you've got Chuck Cyrus lives in Portsmouth, Ashley Dunn lives in Bedford, and everyone's kind of all over the place. So it is difficult, because when you're in normal life and you're kind of Monday to Friday at work, it's kind of like, if I wanted to go out on a Friday night, who am I going to go out with? Unless they're going to, either I go 2 hours one way or they come the other. So it is a little bit difficult, but it makes you look forward to the shows, and
definitely, yeah.
And you have that good camaraderie.
That's it. So you talk about RCWA quite a lot. Am I right in thinking that's a company that you're very involved in?
Yeah, so that's the company. I had my first ever match with. So I started in the back garden, kind of.
Is it Raynham?
Raynham, yeah. So down in Essex. It's gone from that. It's been running for 10 years, and it's now pulling 300-400 people shows. Got some good names on there. Obviously, we've given a platform to people like Kip Sabian, Kelly Six, various Brad Slayer's been on there a few times. Chuck Cyrus has been our champion was our champion for a long time. Will Ospreay's the name that
you don't want to drop.
Everyone immediately thinks of, because he's been the most successful and deserves all the plaudits that he's got. So that has been a major part of my life for the last 10 years. So
just choking off mic. So you've been with RCWA since almost the start then, in that case? If it's
so officially I think it started in June 2007, and I joined in the August. So
you've been pretty much there from the start.
From the start.
And there was a post, I think it almost made out that you've been their champ for quite a while. I'm not sure if that was just the way it was worded.
Recently won the title. I won the title there in September.
Okay, so not
but it is like I've held it, or multiple incarnations of it throughout the years, about 8 or 9 times.
Wow. And I guess because that started out as kind of like a backyarding federation, right?
Yeah, originally it was.
Yeah. What's your? Because I spoke to BG Thrillians recently. I've spoken to Tim Lee recently as well. I'm kind of learning more and more about this kind of backyard culture and like this underground status of it all, and I struggle to understand I'm trying to think of the right word, not hatred from the professional wrestling world, but the stigma, I guess, surrounding it. Because my take is, from what I gather, is that everyone that's backyarded is potentially more passionate, more dedicated, more committed to doing what we do inside a ring than a lot of people you'll meet that haven't done it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think the stigma is not as bad as it was. I'm not going to go on record and say that you should definitely do backyard, because I'm not going to say that. But if you have obviously the desire to do it professionally, then you should go to a training school. I think.
I guess maybe 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, you didn't have as many options. I think a lot of people have just said you had hammerlock over in
drop kicks as well.
Drop kicks, and that was it. And if you couldn't get to those two, you had no chance of being trained. Obviously flash forward to now, and there's schools everywhere, and there's lots more opportunities. But
I always saw it as, well, how is it any different to kids playing football over the park? But obviously from the professional, now I am quote unquote a professional wrestler, I guess, you can see why a lot of professional companies and professional wrestlers had an issue with it, because if someone did it, backyard wrestling, got hurt, then it kind of puts the onus on professional wrestling for being a bad influence. And there's also a lot of, or certainly like back in the day in the 90s and early 2000s, it was backyard wrestling was the stigma of it's just guys hitting each other with light tubes and various other things, which there were DVDs about it, best of backyard wrestling, and it was always these crazy stupid matches, and I never really went in for that. I only wanted to try and emulate what I saw on TV and be a wrestler, not any of that kind of stuff. So I think that didn't help when you had people doing those kind of stupid stunts and that. And I think that professional wrestling was just trying to condemn it so that they wouldn't have liability for it.
Oh, okay. That makes sense, I guess.
And that's perfectly fine. I think there are people that were doing it that are now thriving as professional wrestlers.
Without a doubt.
And that might come from the fact, like you said, they had the passion for it. Maybe they didn't have the means to do it, but now they do, and then really kind of hit the ground running. I think it helped in a sense that you kind of get to know what kind of character you want to do, because you're only doing it in front of 10 people. So if it doesn't work, you can just, it didn't work, so we'll do something else.
Move on,
But I would I go back and change anything? No, because I've met most of my close friends, or a lot of my close friends that maybe don't wrestle anymore, but through that, my wife is the cousin of Will Ospreay, who I met years ago. So No, I wouldn't change it, but I wouldn't suggest that people necessarily do it.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Cool. Because they don't need to anymore.
Because
there are so many. There's so many
schools. There's so many wrestling promotions now that you can, if you train, you can get onto and stuff. So there isn't the need to do it as much now.
Yeah. Kind of, we'll start kind of wrapping up because I can hear a lot of commotion outside.
Fair enough.
We're kind of closing in on showtime. So a lot of people have been doing their 2018 goals lately. Is that something that you've put some thought into and got a list of things you want to try and do?
Not really. No. I just want to continue having fun doing it.
Yeah.
I think when it stops being fun is when it's time to maybe stop. So yeah, just continue having fun with my mates.
Is there any way you want to try and get yourself booked in 2018? Like, any places that you really want to try and crack?
So I debuted at Rev Pro this year, so if I can get that maybe as a bit more of a regular thing, that would be kind of good. I've got some stuff coming up with Battle Pro next year, so hopefully that'll maybe lead to some stuff with Progress, perhaps. I don't know.
Yeah.
So that'd be quite good. For me, as I say, it's mainly the enjoyment factor of it.
Yeah. Just keep having fun wherever you are.
Keep having fun with it.
Amen.
Surround myself with people that I like. Sometimes you're on a show and you're kind of like, the locker room's not as sort of close knit as it is here or RCWA or various other places. So that I don't really have time for that kind of atmosphere.
The politics and the kind of cliques and
so I'm not going to say that I want to win this title, I want to do this, I want to do that. Maybe I haven't wrestled it anywhere outside of the UK, so maybe that's a goal, yes. But other than that, I'm kind of just doing it because I enjoy it.
Good man. You mentioned earlier your entrance music. This is a song that I think on commentary I've never been able to appreciate, but I went to Brett's show, World War Wrestling, and I actually had the chance to just actually soak up your entrance and the music playing. Was that a song that you was that one that you went for straight away, or is that something that you kind of found kind of down the path?
No, I had that music I started using that in 2008.
And it's Within Temptation.
Within Temptation, called What Have You Done Now? And it just kind of struck a chord with me. They weren't a band I necessarily listened to.
Same, I can't say I've ever
My
really
sister did,
polarised with it.
or she listened to music of that type.
Oh, is that not your jam?
No, not really. It just kind of stuck, and I think particularly when I changed into the character I've got now, it kind of makes sense because the character wants to be loved in a sense that he's trying to tell you what the world's really like, but people don't want to listen. And then I'm having to do things to hurt people and sort of show you, but I do it because I love you.
It's a twisted logic.
It's a twisted logic behind it, but the song really kind of works. Yeah,
because the first time as soon as I found out what it was, I googled it, went straight to YouTube, and it was the lyric version. I'm reading the lyrics, I'm like, this is the perfect Antisocial Ash Draven song. It was almost like it was written for you. It was kind of crazy how much it worked within the character, and I guess that's just another layer, to the Antisocial.
Yeah, it is. And when DOA told me I couldn't use it because there was something they wanted to get the videos out there, and you couldn't have copyrighted music, I had to change it.
I was gutted when that happened.
Yeah, I was a little bit gutted because, as I say, I had the music for 8 or 9 years, and I kind of knew how to, like, when the drop was, and I only went through the curtain when the drop happens. So it's kind of difficult when you then have to change the music, but now I'm allowed to use it again. So
cool.
So that's, and I think indirectly it's one of the reasons why I started to get cheered, because, like you say, people can identify that the song fits the wrestler. It's quite catchy, so people try and sing along to it.
I've saw a whole row of people just wait for that. What have you? And they lost their shit. They went crazy, man. It was good to see.
But Brett done a fantastic video leading into that entrance at World War. So
Same for Ashley Dunn as well. His video was I always say it swept my mind. It blew my mind seeing that. That was cool as hell. So Ashley, if people want to contact you, any foreign promoters, if they want to get in touch with you on social media to get you booked outside the UK, how can they find you? How can they get in touch with you, my friend?
So I'm on I've got a fan page on Facebook, so it's facebook.com/Draven's Happy Place. I'm also on Instagram and Twitter as well. So find me on there, and hopefully talk to you soon.
Yeah. Well, Ash, have a good 18, my friend, and I will see you soon, buddy.
Thanks, Ollie.
Nice one.
Cheers.
Figure 4 Radio.
There you are, folks. The antisocial one himself, Ash Draven, on Figure 4 Radio. Gotta be honest, Ash Draven coming into the year was a guy that I was definitely starting to hear a lot about. He was definitely making waves in a handful of companies, and throughout 2017, getting to see him kind of perform and grow and evolve as a performer. Really kind of come to terms with this character that he's got built and really excel on pretty much every aspect of professional wrestling, because there are so many pieces to this grand puzzle. You got to have your character down, you got to have your moves down, you got to be able to talk on the microphone. He has absolutely every single base covered, and I genuinely think that 2018 is the year that a lot of the bigger promotions in the country start taking notice and actually realizing what a talent this guy is. And it was kind of cool to listen to his kind of feelings and emotions, and the fact that he is quite an unsocial guy. He doesn't really like being around groups of people, but put him in that spotlight, put him in the ring, and he absolutely shines as a performer. I think that's one of the great things that wrestling can do. It can bring people out of their shells, kind of push them a little bit in a good way, and take people that maybe wouldn't excel at this sort of thing in normal life and make them an absolute fucking superstar. And Ash Draven deserves everything he's got coming his way next year, because he's a very talented dude and a guy that it's been an absolute pleasure to call matches for. I think as well he could be one of the most commentated guys for me in 2017. I'm gonna run the numbers. I'll probably do a Facebook post at some point, but yeah, he was getting around absolutely everywhere. And as I say, too right, because he is a very talented dude indeed. Guys, if you don't already, give us a follow or a like on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. It's at Figure 4 Radio or all the above. Follow me on Twitter. It's at F4R_Mastermind. We've got the website, figure4radio.weebly.com. As well as the YouTube channel, youtube.com/F4TV. All of our archives are up there. Go check out some of our old podcasts. There's some real fun stuff on there. Well worth kind of spending a few hours digging into it and seeing what we used to get up to all those years ago. And of course, if you want me, the Mastermind Ollie Spring, on commentary for any of your shows, or if you're a wrestler and you have like a package that you want to send to people, but you think it needs something a little extra added, get in touch, because we can help with that as well. Check me out at any of the following promotions: Sacrifice Pro Wrestling, Hope and Hope Future, got DOA Wrestling, we've got Wrestling League and SOS, and we've got Exposure Wrestling Entertainment all over in Wales. Hopefully, maybe by the time this drops, I'll have a few more promotions to add to my list. But we'll see how that goes. But for now, I've been the Mastermind Ollie Spring. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week on Figure 4 Radio.